The reality is we're living in a world with educated consumers. You have people that have all the research and all the pricing and all the comparisons and the reviews at the tip of their fingers, right? Before they look at your product or your service or your program. What happens is they come in with information and with predetermined ideas of what they expect. And I've talked about this before. Your prospects, which is most people on this planet, are not trained like you guys are. They're not trained in sales. They're not trained in negotiations. They don't understand how to effectively communicate and stay in agreement and not have that lead to butting heads and disagreement and eventually just completely a deal falling apart. So they're not trained. So we have to take even a higher level of responsibility for the entire process, because they're going to come in expecting certain results and with predetermined ideas and quotes and figures and facts in their minds, but they're not equipped or trained on how to communicate that and how to come to a conclusion. So a lot of times that can lead to a negative outcome if you're in sales, right? Or if you're dealing with prospects or people. But a couple of things just to discuss more in conversation here. First things first, with any of your prospects, it's a really good habit for you guys to set the tone early. This is going to be extremely important. I always go back to this, the auto industry, they're like the gladiators of the sales world. Everybody, if you're in the online space, you got it easy. If you're selling people on Zoom, you got it easy. If you're, got a lower ticket product or service, you got it easy. If you're working within a company or with a brand, you got it easy, right? If you have a product, service, program, course where people are coming to you because they see the value in what you do and how it, measurably impacts their results, you got it easy, right? When you're in the auto world, that's where people like to notoriously, and this is the fault of the auto industry themselves because they haven't evolved and grown with the world. They like to notoriously lie and mislead people. So people know that. So they come in wanting to negotiate, to break things down to the bitter end and to the numbers that they expect. And it's a lot of, negativity that goes into it. But that's why the auto industry is always one of the toughest industries to be in. But that's why it teaches you a lot of the skills that we're discussing here. And it gives you a really tough skin, right? But one of the things is, if we're talking strategies here, first things first, you guys should all be setting the tone of that interaction early. So how do you do that? When your prospect comes in, when your client comes in and they're more of a know-it-all client, right? They have the information. They come in, and I know how those clients come in. They come in posturing you. They come in saying, hey, nice to meet you. Yeah. They want to make it early impression. Even if it's subconsciously, they actually know this. Prospects actually know this. They want to set the intention early, right? They want to set the tone early. So it's your job to make sure you can control and handle that. So they'll come in and they'll say, hey, I'm looking at the XYZ model car. I saw this one in your inventory. It was priced at this and this. It was listed at this. And I know the dealers around and what it's priced at. I'm here to look at that. And I'm here to, where they'll give you their intention, right? So one of the things you guys should do when that prospect comes in, or if you're on a Zoom call with your client and they're looking at your course or program, whatever it might be, or to do business with you, you want to set the tone early. So you want to set the intention. You want to actually communicate the intention of what you're looking to do here. So I'm looking to show you this car or show you this X, Y, and Z. I'm looking to get a deal done with you. This is one of however many, in our inventory. And you want to set the intention. You want to communicate the intention, right? The other thing you want to do is you want to set the tone that you're the expert in this space early, right? And you do that in multiple different ways. Sometimes by literally saying, yeah, no, I totally understand. I obviously look at our inventory every single day. I deal with clients like yourself every single day. I actually had someone just yesterday looking at this exact same vehicle you're looking at, and we've gone through the price points and the ranges and the terms that make sense for them. So I'm very familiar with the pricing and what we can do on this vehicle. So I already know exactly what we can do for you. I'd love to show that to you, and I'd love to sit down with you and see how we can make this work for you. Letting them know, like, hey, I have other prospects looking at this. I know the ins and outs of this deal, of this car, of the numbers. Like, I know everything. Like, setting the tone as yourself as the expert in this space. So you want to clearly communicate the intention. You want to set the tone that you are the expert, and they're here ultimately to get the answers from you. Although they might know stuff, this isn't their full-time career. This isn't something. So you are the expert, right? And the third thing you want to do is you don't want to give weight to everything. So you want to really keep things light and initially make your point and establish the conversation by keeping things lighter, because just as an example, and this is very specific for the auto industry as well, but it applies everywhere. When a consumer comes in and they're a very educated consumer and they tell you, well, listen, I've done my research and I know your competitor has XYZ and it's actually better than this. They might be looking at a different vehicle. They might be looking at a Mercedes Benz and he's selling, one of the luxury Lexuses. And the customer says, well, listen, I know the space. I've looked at the Mercedes and I know the pricing and the inventory and they're getting it to me for 50 grand. And you guys are asking me for this and it's not the same deal. I'd rather go there. First of all, we're comparing oranges to apples. This is completely different cars. Second of all, what are the details? Are we talking used inventory? Are we talking new cars? Are we talking lease or finance? Are we talking, people throw comparisons like that all the time, especially in the auto industry. And they try to, win one over you because they don't give you all the details. But the moment you start to dig deeper, if a car is $20,000 cheaper, there's a reason. They'll try to do things like that. But what's the first rule of the 3A's rule? Always stay in agreement, right? So you can't break the rapport. You can't break the agreement. At that point, you can't say, well, you know what, sir? I can guarantee you're wrong. I can guarantee you that's not the case. You know what? I want to call you out on your bluff. Let's actually pull it up. Pull up the website right now, right? Now, there are certain points where we've done that. And I know we've talked about that, but obviously that's not the direction you want to go. So initially, when you're setting the tone and you're establishing yourself as the expert, when a lot of the nonsense comes up that you just want to dismiss and, it's almost not allowing you to stay calm and grounded in the deal, you want to just tread lightly and you want to keep the tone of the conversation at a higher level. You want to keep the tone higher. You want to keep it lighter. And you want to just, make simple statements towards what they're saying, to acknowledge what they're saying, but almost jokingly or lightly let them know that that's not the case, right? So this all falls under setting the tone. I think one of the most important things is when they're coming in, you set the tone. So again, communicating the intentions very clearly, establishing yourself as the expert by using frames of reference that establishes that you're an expert, not just you saying, well, I'm the expert here, but you communicating that, hey, this exact deal you're talking about, this exact product or service you're talking about, this is what I talk about every day. I've talked to this many clients just in the last few days about this exact same program. And I think the biggest thing there as well is really keeping it light when you're handling the scenarios, because if you start to get into disagreement with clients that are educated consumers, or at least they think they are, their guard is high. That's probably the biggest issue, the biggest challenge. They have a high guard and they came in consciously telling themselves, I'm not going to allow this person to get past my guard. So you have to know how to tread these waters lightly in a very high tone, light manner, but at the same time, knowing the process and moving them down the process step by step.